All right, so once again, if you are joining me on Zoom, you're going to see the posters behind me are reversed, unfortunately. If you're joining me on Facebook Live, you should see them correctly. Now, tonight, we're going to get started here in just a couple minutes. We're going to let some people join in. At the end of this workshop tonight, I'll be available for some Q&A if anybody has questions on any of the topics that we cover. Tonight's topic, tonight's program is going to be all focused on inflammation, chronic low-grade inflammation, and the impact of that inflammation on our overall health. Really important because of the times that we are in right now. There's been a running theme, a running dialogue on all the videos that I've been talking about these past months about building us and strengthening the host, okay? Our mind, body, spirit through how we eat, move, think, and live. Strengthening our body so we adapt better to the stresses of everyday life and the world. Well, those of you who have been paying attention and have been doing the work, you should be having the utmost confidence in your body's ability to adapt to the crazy, stressful world that we're living in today, and have confidence that your body can heal, can repair, that it can adapt and handle a virus, a bacteria, regardless of what it is. Our body's smart. Remember, our body's designed to be healthy. Healthy is normal. Our body's smart. It knows how to heal and repair itself. These are the concepts we're going to dive into tonight. But unfortunately, a lot of people who have not been listening or paying attention or been taking care of the host, they're sick, they're run down, they're scared, they're anxious, their stress levels are going through the roof, they're afraid, they're worried. As that happens and their stress levels rise, guess what lowers? Their immune response. Same thing that happens when we are chronically inflamed. Our body's in a state of stress. It's a stressful response. And what happens when we're chronically inflamed is our body's not adaptable anymore. We're more susceptible to viruses and bacteria, COVID-19, a flu virus, regardless of what it is, we're more susceptible to it, okay? So just a quick rundown on things here, all right? Look, over here, we're designed to be healthy. We're born with perfection. And that perfection stays with us from our very first breath of life until our very last breath of life. Our body's smart, it knows how to heal itself. Everything from a cut to cancer, our body works on healing every day, and it does that through our nervous system. When our brain and nervous system are controlling and coordinating the cells, tissues, and organs of the body properly, without any interference, our body is its most adaptable, okay? So as we follow along over here, that intelligence that's in our body is an innate, inborn, God-given intelligence. It's there with us from the time of conception until our very last breath of life. It's that intelligence that resides in the brain as the headquarters, and it flows through and over that nervous system to steer every cell, tissue, and organ to life. That nervous system is literally our body's electrical system, and the spine, that 24 movable bones in our spine, is the suit of armor that protects that delicate nervous system. But unfortunately, we live in a stressful world today. Our modern world is very stressful. It's stressful emotionally, physically, and chemically. Those stressors lead to a condition called subluxation. Now, for those of you who've been around with me for a while, and you've gotten your spine checked for subluxation, a subluxation is this. Normally, messages flow from our brain down the spinal cord, out through these nerves to the cells, tissues, and organs. And normally that flow of information is nice and smooth and free, and our body's its most adaptable. Unfortunately, because of those stressors that I just mentioned, one or more of these 24 bones can become injured and misaligned, putting pressure on those nerves. So instead of that smooth flow of information, we have a short circuit. And wherever that short circuit goes, whether it's to a muscle, a joint, a gland, an organ, or a system, those things go into a state of dis-ease, dis-ease, lack of harmony, or disharmony. If you keep it that way long enough and it's getting altered nerve signals, altered function for long enough, it will eventually go into a state of disease. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that tonight, okay? When our body is subluxated and misaligned like that, putting pressure on that nervous system, it actually lowers our body's ability to adapt to the stressors of everyday life. The regular stresses of everyday life have a greater negative impact on our body. We can adapt to less and less stress over time, the more subluxation that we have in our body. Your chiropractor's job, and the only health expert to do this, to detect and correct a subluxation, to allow for the complete expression of that innate intelligence from your brain over your nervous system to those cells, is your chiropractor. No other healthcare provider does that. Your chiropractor, whether it's me, whether it's one of our other Chiropractic USA offices, and hey, we just opened another new office this week in Ocala. Our second Ocala location is open. So we have an Ocala East over off of 200th and 60th, Jasmine Plaza. And we have one over off of 17th Street now, Ocala East, that just opened this past week. So hey, well done, more great chiropractic services for our area. Whether you're seeing us as a chiropractor or you're seeing somebody else, it's really important to understand that when you go to your chiropractor, you're going there and they're taking a whole person approach. They're not just looking at you as a neck pain or a back pain. They're looking at you as a whole person. They should be giving you recommendations on how to eat, how to improve the way that you fuel your body. They should be giving you recommendations or having discussions with you about how you move, how you exercise. There's a correct type and timing of exercise for all of us, and that we should be doing that for a lifetime. And we should be talking with our chiropractors regularly about how we think, because as you're going to learn tonight, our thoughts, there's about 3,000 thoughts every single hour of every single day that go through our subconscious brain. The content and quality of those thoughts, based on what we're putting into our eyes and our ears, is going to determine what we think most about. And what we think most about are going to be the things that we're manifesting and attracting and driven towards in our life, things that we start to see more of. And the more negativity we allow in through news, through radio, through social media, through toxic people, the more stressed out we become, which takes us down this rabbit hole through this inflammation process that we're going to talk about tonight. So I'm going to move me back up to the corner here, and I'm going to make me smaller, but I'll get bigger later. I'm going to move me right up there. So tonight's topic, Inflammation Nation. Our nation as a whole right now is freaked out. They're stressed out. Before this pandemic, quote unquote pandemic, we had a nation who we have the worst health. We spend the most money per capita than any other nation on the planet, but yet we do not have the best overall health to show for it. In fact, we're, depending on which study you look at by the World Health Organization, we're ranked 38th to 40th out of industrialized nations in overall health. We have a healthcare system that is skyrocketing in costs. Our healthcare system, which is really a disease care, let's be honest, it's a disease care system, it's a crisis care system. It no longer produces healthy people. When healthy people go into that system and they become a part of that system and they end up on medications, they get sicker over time. And you can look up the statistics yourself, but the third leading cause of preventable death in the United States of America is healthcare. Third leading cause of death, properly prescribed medications. That is not the answer. Health comes from within. It doesn't come from a pill, potion, or lotion. It doesn't come from the outside into us. It comes from the inside out. So, our body's smart, is designed to be healthy. How we engage this world, how we choose to eat, fuel our body, how we move, how we think, how we live, how we care for ourselves determines how adaptable and healthy we are, how much vitality and vigor we have for a lifetime. A mask isn't going to fix that. A pill isn't going to fix that. A vaccine isn't going to fix that. We've got people who are morbidly obese. We have people every day dying of heart attacks and cancer and all these other kinds of things that are lifestyle-related diseases, things that can be preventable, that produce or have as part of the condition chronic low-grade inflammation. So we have people that are freaked out, stressed out about their health, and you look at their grocery cart when you're walking through the store, and they're filled with processed foods, sugar, soda, candy, no vegetables, no whole foods, and they're concerned about their health. See, we've been given opportunity to wake up over these past 6 months. And if you weren't living in line with our requirements for a species before that, these past 6 months should have woken you up to start to make better choices for yourself and for your family. There's no one riding in on a white horse to save you. There's no vaccine that's going to save you. There's no pill that's going to save you. If you want longevity and you want quality of life, you have to work for it. You have to make good, solid choices that are sustainable over time. I'm not talking about a quick fix diet program to lose 10 pounds and be done with it and only to put it back on again. I'm not talking about an exercise routine that you engage with really hard and heavy for a month and then you go back to your old ways and forget about it. I'm talking about lifestyle changes that are sustainable. You with me? Good. Let's dive in. Inflammation Nation. All right. Now, you know this, right? How do you boil a frog? Well, if we have a pot of boiling water, right? Rolling boil, and we toss a frog in there. Now, don't do this at home, people. I know we might have some kids listening. Don't do this at home. But if we threw that frog into a pot of boiling water, the reaction for that frog is to boom, jump, explode out of that pot. It feels the heat. Now, in order to successfully boil a frog, what do? We put the pan on the stove with water that might be room temperature. We put the frog in there, and let's just say the frog stayed. You slowly and gradually heat up that water until that water comes to a rolling boil. And the frog actually adapts to the temperature change as it's going along. And the frog doesn't jump out like the picture on the left here. The picture on the right, that frog will end up boiling to death. You see, this is what's happening in our culture, in our society today. Prior to this pandemic, we have stress. We have stress every day, but you know what? Our stressors that we experience that are physical, emotional, chemical, spiritual, relational, financial, they've only been heightened over these past 6 months. So everybody right now in our country, maybe even globally, mostly in our country, is like that frog sitting in that pot, slowly having the heat turned up on them, and they're just boiling. They don't know what to do. They don't know where to turn. They don't know what to believe. They're getting mixed messages every day through the media. So shut it off and start doing what you know you need to do to get healthy. So let's look at what health is. Health is a state of optimal physical, mental, and social well-being. We can add spiritual well-being to that definition. Not just the absence of disease or infirmity. The key part to that statement, that definition, is the last part. Not just the absence of disease or infirmity. Just because we're not sick doesn't mean that we're healthy. Just because we're not having any pain doesn't mean that we're healthy. But we've been trained over our lifetime to think about our body from a pain perspective. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If I'm not experiencing pain, I must have robust health, regardless of how overweight I am, regardless of how many medications I'm on. But look at this illness wellness continuum. On the far right of this, you have a high level of wellness, true wellness in mind, body, and spirit, all interconnected, cannot be separated. On the far left of this chart, you have premature death, early death. In the middle is the neutral point. So let's take someone who's in the neutral point. They're not experiencing optimal health or wellness, and they're not experiencing disease or premature death. They're just kind of hanging out in the middle. Every single day, every choice that we make, everything that we experience either moves us towards the right on this continuum or towards the left. If we're moving towards the left because we're living a stressful life, we're experiencing stressful things physically, we're experiencing stressful things emotionally and chemically, we're moving to the left on this. We start to have early signs or symptoms of dis-ease or harmony in our body. But you know what we do? It's kind of like the oil light. Those symptoms and signs that start to show up is kind of like the oil light that comes on in our car. We neglect it. Maybe flickers a little bit. Maybe the light goes off and we forget about it. Same thing with our symptoms. They show up, they go away. They go away. We're like, man, we're good to go. We don't need to change anything now. But what happens is those symptoms get worse to a point where we bring ourselves to a doctor and we give that doctor a laundry list of symptoms that says, hey, doc, these are the things I'm experiencing. Fix me. So what is the doctor expected to do and what is the patient expected to receive? Either a list of tests to do and or a list of prescriptions to take to address the symptom. Because we believe and we've been trained over our lifetime, if the symptom's gone, we must be healthy. That's a crock of BS. We have people dying every single day who are on cholesterol medications, dying from heart disease with really low cholesterol, just as one example, just because I talked with someone about this a little while ago. But the further we move to the left over here, signs and symptoms, disease, and eventually premature death. The medical profession, our current healthcare system, is not designed to get you to optimal health. You know what it's designed to do? If you look at that line that I have right here, let me give you my pointer. This treatment paradigm, that's the medical profession. That's our current healthcare system. It's designed to get you back to neutral, where you're comfortably numb and you're not experiencing any symptoms. Nothing to do with health or wellness. Now, every day that we're making choices that are in line with how we're supposed to eat, move, think, and live as a species, it's in line with our genetic requirements, moves us to the right. We have a greater awareness of our body and how it's functioning. We're learning and we're implementing things in our lives constantly. We're growing, we're changing, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, and relationally, so that we become an all-encompassing picture of wellness. But listen, we're always in flux on this continuum. We're never stationary. We're never static. We're always moving right or left, depending on our lifestyle choices. The thing is that for the most part, we get to choose which direction we're heading. Now listen, in the wellness paradigm, which is a chiropractic paradigm, the wellness paradigm takes us from signs and symptoms and illness and disharmony and dis-ease and disease beyond neutral towards high-level health and wellness, optimal function, that integrated wholeness of a person and mind, body, and spirit. They're inseparable. But the wellness paradigm is designed, it's never ending, it's a lifelong process to constantly be making improvements with how we take care of ourselves. So we age gracefully and we stay active and healthy. Because as we age, our mobility is crucial, our cognitive abilities are crucial, and the better we take care of ourselves along that journey, the more robust our health will be when we get there. Nobody wants to get to be 70, 80, 90 years old and be in a hospital bed someplace or be riddled with medications or be immobile and watching your life and the world go by you. Nobody wants that. We want to live a high quality life, not just a high quantity life, okay? So over here, one cause, one cure. This comes from a great chiropractic mentor of mine, Dr. Fred Barge. And check this out. The cause of all dis-ease and disease, all of it, results from toxicity and deficiency in nutrients, movement, and thoughts. Think about that for a second. If our body's designed to be healthy, healthy is normal, and our body's smart. It took 2 cells, a sperm and an egg, unfolded those genetic blueprints, and made us who we are today. That's pretty damn smart. But if we're feeding it a nutrient deficient diet, if we're feeding it toxic things, if we're experiencing things toxically emotionally, if we're deficient in movement and thoughts and nutrients, it leads to dis-ease, disharmony, and eventually disease. That's our current world. The only way that you correct that, there's one cure for it. It's not a little pill, a potion, a magic vaccine. not someone riding in on a white horse to save you, but the cure for all dis-ease, disharmony, and disease is the restoration of sufficient and purity, sufficiency and purity in nutrients, in movement, and thoughts. It's simple. You see, there's limitations to our physical body. Once there's been degenerative changes that we've neglected for a long time, there's limitations to how much repair can happen, but our body's smart. As long as there's life flowing through our body and flowing through and over that nervous system, our body has the amazing, innate, God-given ability to heal from the inside out. As long as we're keeping the lines of communication from our brain to our body properly, clearly, smoothly, freely communicating, we're eating well, moving well, thinking well, getting enough rest, sunshine, oxygen, all the basics in that recipe for a healthy life. Look at this, Time Magazine. This was back in 2004, The Secret Killer, Silent Epidemic. Look at this, the surprising link between inflammation and heart attacks, cancer, Alzheimer's, and other diseases. We've known this for a long time. There's two kinds of inflammation. The first type is acute, painful, red, swollen. You sprain an ankle, you hurt yourself, it gets red and swollen. That's a normal, healthy response. After a short period of time, that acute, painful, red, swollen inflammation actually stimulates your immune response to maybe heal a cut or help those tissues heal. And after a little while, that swelling, that pain, that redness goes away. But there's another kind that is inflammation that's insidious. It's painless most often, it's silent. You may not have major symptoms, but it's lifestyle induced. What you're feeding yourself in your mouth, in your eyes, and in your ears. It's stress related. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. It's also known as chronic low-grade inflammation, CLG, chronic low-grade inflammation. It is at the root cause of all of our chronic health issues, every single one of them. Chronic inflammation attacks our body tissues on a cellular level. And we have a direct influence on it, not through a medication, but how we choose to feed ourselves, how we choose to engage our life with movement, with thoughts, with rest, with sunshine, oxygen, and most importantly, maintaining our structure for a healthy nervous system through chiropractic care. So what does CLG, chronic low-grade inflammation, look like? Well, you've got people, maybe yourself, but all around you, that have heart disease. They have high cholesterol. They have blood pressure. They're having strokes. Mood disorders, depression, anxiety, brain degeneration, Alzheimer's, pre-senile dementia, obesity, diabetes, cancer, joint pain, swelling, arthritis, atopic disorders, skin, eczema, psoriasis, allergies, asthma, acne, poor recovery, poor wound healing, and a poor immune response. That is what, my friends, chronic low-grade inflammation looks like. So listen, you can address this, you can change it. Let's pause for a second and let's do this. Let me get big again. Right now, with this COVID pandemic, our most at-risk people are people 70 or older. The median age or the average range for death age is 78. So people who are older, 70 or older, and who have comorbidities such as obesity, heart disease, cancer, things that link back up with lifestyle choices, diabetes, and chronic low-grade inflammation as the underlying source, the glue that pulls all that together. My friends, you have a choice in how you choose to live to get healthier. It doesn't have to be this way. What bothers me the most and what makes me so angry with this whole pandemic is that the people who are succumbing mostly, the weakened immune response, the comorbidities, they're diseases of lifestyle. They're things that could have been changed if only they made different choices. If only they knew a better path to take and they had coaching and guidance and support from friends and loved ones to get there, and not just mask things by a pill and not change. See, what we do is we give people a medication to create a chemical change, to produce a lab result, to give them a certain feeling, but never change their lifestyle. How insane is that? We have 5% of the world's population in our country, yet we consume 50% of all the pharmaceuticals on the planet, and it's not making us healthier. We consume 80% of all the painkillers on the planet. And look what's happened with that. The opioid addiction. How many deaths are resulting from that? It's insanity. We cannot continue to do the same things and expect different results. We have to change our paradigm and move from a treatment paradigm to a wellness paradigm if you truly want to experience health, wellness, vitality. It's the only way it's going to happen. So, going to make me small again. All right, chronic low-grade inflammation. Here's what that looks like. In our cardiovascular health, our heart health, our blood vessels develop plaquing, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, okay? Plaques, clots, they lead to strokes or small mini strokes, a transient ischemic attack that produces damage to our nervous system, our cardiovascular system. That's that chronic low-grade inflammation over time that damages that system due to stressors that are physical, emotional, number one, and chemical. Chronic low-grade inflammation leads to problems with our joint health, whether it's shoulders, hips, knees, ankles, wrists, and hands, doesn't matter. It leads to joint pain and swelling. That's inflammation in there. Arthritic change, degenerative joint disease. It impairs our performance, directly impairs our performance and our recovery. But doc, those replacements now, they're great. Listen, I get it. We've got great technology when it comes to doing a hip replacement, shoulder replacement, whatever. But I think we can all agree it's way better to keep the original parts working well and optimally so that we can use them for a lifetime rather than have to go in for a surgery and get it replaced. And listen, don't give me the line that is just age-related. That's BS also. If you've got one hip that's degenerated, that's wear and tear. That's osteoarthritis. That's degenerative joint disease, whatever it might be. If the other one's still healthy, it's not age-related because they're the same age. It's wear and tear because you didn't take care of your structure properly. You didn't implement lifestyle success strategies to keep your body, your structure, your mind healthy, healing and repairing properly. Probably never seen a chiropractor regularly, or you went in for a crack or a pop once or twice, you got relief and never went back. That's not chiropractic. When you do that with chiropractic, you're using chiropractic no different than you would in medicine, and the result is the same. Brain health. How important is our cognitive abilities as we age? The synapses, where those nerves, those neurons come together in our brain. Those synapses have chemicals in there, neurotransmitters, brain chemistry that is directly influenced by how we fuel our body. That impacts pediatric development. Listen, I've been in practice for 25 years now. Practiced almost 18 years up in Rhode Island. I have a very big family practice, took care of a lot of infants, pregnant women, kids of all ages, kids on the autism spectrum, kids with ADD, ADHD, neurodevelopmental problems. Here's the deal. When I moved down here to Florida, I taught in the school system. So I get to experience those same kids on a different realm, on a different playing field. And to see how these kids fuel their body, to see how they're not resting, to see how they're up on their computer or TV till the wee hours of the night and the morning. And then eat a sugar-laden breakfast. No wonder why they're zombies in school. No wonder why they can't behave. You have to understand and realize that how we fuel our body directly impacts our performance, and especially the performance of our brain. It affects those neurotransmitters in those synapses. It affects our moods. It affects whether it's depression, anxiety, Alzheimer's, whatever it is, it's going to be affected by how we fuel our body. The sugary foods and breakfast that these kids are eating, again, it's going to be a problem as an adult, but even as a kid, it results in deficiencies in other vitamins and minerals and nutrients. For instance, when you're eating a high sugar diet, not only does that weaken your immune system, if you've got a pen and pad, go Google Nancy Appleton, 146 ways sugar destroys your health. Now listen, when we're consuming a lot of sugar, the sugar molecules have a very similar structure as B vitamins. And when we are depleted or deficient in B vitamins, you know what's common? Anger, aggression, loss of focus. Sounds a lot of, you look, go right down, depression. There's a whole list of things that sound just like these kids who have ADD or ADHD. What are we doing? We're putting on class 2 narcotics to address it. It's no different for adults. Clean your diet up, get some rest, get some exercise. Do you know that 90% of the nutrition and stimulation to our brain comes from proper movement of our spine? When our spine is subluxated, there's loss of normal mobility in that spine. We call that dyskinesia. We measure that in our exams. But when there's subluxation in the spine, there's loss of normal motion that directly impacts our brain health. It impacts our focus, our cognitive abilities. Then you layer on top of that your diet and lack of exercise and lack of sunshine and oxygen. No wonder why we're having chronic health issues that relate to brain and neurological disorders. Inflammation. So what causes silent inflammation? I've already mentioned these stressors, thoughts, toxins, and traumas. The number one stress for us are the emotional things, but I want to go over something with you. See this chart here? It's the same one that I have up here on the wall. So if you follow along with me, let me do this here for you so that you can see a couple of things I want to point out. Let's come up top to the brain. If you follow my red pointer up here, okay, side view of that brain. If you're looking at it here, right, I want you to do this. If you take your hand, if you're looking at the computer here, you can do it this way, okay? What I want you to do, take your thumb, wrap it under, wrap your fingers around. Kind of mimics what your brain looks like right here. This little area right in through here, okay, is what we're going to talk about. First, the frontal part up here, that's called the prefrontal cortex. I want you to think of that like the CEO of the brain. Strategizing, organizing, sensing our environment, trying to adapt us to the situations that we're experiencing constantly. When we experience a stressor of any kind, what happens is, what kicks in is this deeper layer in here. Survival mechanism. It's our amygdala. The amygdala senses stress. Okay, so let's do this. If we have that brain, that prefrontal cortex is out here, the amygdala under here. Our prefrontal cortex, it doesn't really do this, but just play along with me. I'm going to just make me a little bit bigger here. Hang on. Okay, prefrontal cortex, our CEO of the brain. The prefrontal cortex is sensing the environment. When we get stressors that cause a fight or flight response, that exposes the amygdala and the amygdala kicks in. The amygdala, what that does now is it activates the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. And what happens is this. Let me find my pointer again. From here, this hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis sends messages down the spinal cord, out this way and down. And you see this little guy right here, off to the side, that says adrenal gland. That little gland sits on top of our kidneys. That's our stress response gland. That kicks out adrenaline, epinephrine when we're under stress. Normally, when we're under stress, it's short term. That stress response, that fight or flight mechanism, is a life-saving mechanism. If you think when we were hunters and gatherers, when we're out and about, if we were to be chased by a wild animal, that stress response, that fight or flight kicks in as a means to pump blood to not the organs, pump them away from the organs to the muscles, to make us breathe faster, to elevate our blood pressure, to get us to safety. And after a short period of time, when the threat goes away, our body regulates itself back to normal. Stress response goes away. That HPA axis calms down. The body's not kicking out adrenaline or epinephrine anymore. Good response. That's what we want. Parasympathetics kick in and kind of the brake pedal slows us down a little bit. Fight or flight response. In today's world, we're not being chased by a wild animal anymore, but every single day we're bombarded with stressors. In our entire life, from the moment we wake to the moment we sleep. Big reason why we don't sleep well, because we're stressed out chronically. So what's happening is the gas pedal that goes to this adrenal gland is constantly floored. So our body's day in and day out going through this stress response with COVID, with work. Are the kids going back to school? Are they going to have to wear masks? Are they going to do virtual learning? Am I still going to have a job? Do I have a paycheck coming in? Whole host of things. We're chronically stressed out. And what happens when we're chronically stressed out, our body goes through this cascade of events that releases hormones that affects our body's ability to function and adapt normally. We're not sleeping well. Our blood pressure goes up. There's chronic muscle tension now. Those muscles, as they get tense, pull on that spine and cause misalignment or subluxation, adding more stress to the nervous system, furthering the stress response, ultimately leading down this pathway to a cascade leading to a crashed immune system. Chronic stress leads to a depressed immune response. Chronic stress leads to chronic low-grade inflammation, contributing to a poor immune response, contributing to obesity, heart disease, cancer, all the other things that we've talked about tonight. It all comes down to your nervous system. That's where the rubber meets the road. All right. So check out body stress response. I explained this to you. We have a stressor. It stimulates the brain, the amygdala especially, right? The prefrontal cortex is sensing the environment. It senses a stressor. The amygdala kicks in, turns on the hypothalamus, notifies the ANS, which is your autonomic nervous system. That's this part of the nervous system here. There's a sympathetic, which is the gas pedal, and a parasympathetic, which is the brake pedal. Proper response, homeostasis is good balance. But now we've got fight or flight, so the sympathetic, the gas pedal kicks in. Adrenaline, epinephrine is getting kicked out, so it's making us breathe faster, making muscle tension happen, elevating our heart rate, a whole host of things. Those adrenals are working hard. So the HPA axis, that's an appropriate short-term response. And then that stress is a threatened homeostatic balance in the body. Homeostasis, think balance, okay? Stress threatens homeostasis. Whether it's an emotional stress, spiritual, physical, chemical, does not matter. Okay. Allostasis, another word for you. So we have homeostasis, think of that as balance. Allostasis is how the body responds to stress in order to regain homeostasis. When our body is subluxated, when there's pressure on that nervous system, our body struggles to regain homeostasis. It struggles with allostasis, which is a normal, healthy response for us. Chronic allostasis leads us back to what we talked about earlier, dis-ease, and then eventually disease. If we live in a state of disharmony or dis-ease, lack of ease for a long enough period of time, it moves us further to the left on that illness-wellness continuum that we talked about, and it brings us to a state of disease. If we haven't changed our lifestyle, our thought patterns, how we fuel our body, what do we end up doing? Taking medication. Symptoms go away. It's like putting a piece of tape over your oil light and continuing to drive, or over your engine light and continuing to drive, pretending it's not there, not changing anything. Acute stress, as I mentioned before, we get a cut. It's going to be swollen, red, painful. Our body's going to produce the right stuff to heal that up. And as it heals, that pain, swelling, inflammation is going to go away. Acute stress enhances our immune response. It heightens it. Chronic stress suppresses it. It suppresses the immune response. By a show of hands, all you watching, how many of you want a good, strong, healthy, robust immune response? Every single one of you. Not only do you want that for yourself, you want it for your spouse, you want it for your kids, you want it for your friends, you want it for your coworkers, you want it for the whole darn planet right now. We shouldn't wait for a pandemic for that, though. We should be doing that and wanting that every single day of our life, so that we avoid having situations like this where everybody's freaked out because they have zero confidence in their body's ability to handle and adapt to these stressors. It's maddening. Intense stress overactivates our immune system, leading to an imbalance of inflammatory and anti-inflammatory things in the body. Creates a state of disharmony or disease. Listen, inflammation is a crucial response to microbe invasion, viruses, bacteria. Okay? tissue injury, cuts, things like that we talked about. Short term, in order to regain homeostasis. Excessive prolonged inflammation is the basis of chronic disease. Now listen, I'm gonna come back here a second. It is estimated that 75 to 90% of all visits to primary healthcare providers for a list of gripes and complaints, the origin of those gripes and complaints are a result of chronic stress. Most often emotional, secondarily chemical, and then physical. Here's the thing, especially the guys out there, tough guys. I'm not stressed. I don't get stressed. Again, BS, because the physiological response to stress is the same for everybody. It's the same for all of us. Whether you experience it outwardly or not, physiologically, inside, the stress response is the same. Got it? All right. Here's a glass of water. This water is going to represent our stressor. Now, I'm going to give you a virtual demonstration of this instead of just looking at that picture. So I'm going to make me big again. I'm going to move me over here to the middle. And let's pretend that my Yeti was that cup of water. Now, that we're going to use this as a stressor. And this is parallel to what we've been talking about. If I hold this cup for a minute, not really a big deal. I can hold it, I can hang out with it. 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 6 hours. My hand might get a little tired. My arm might get a little tired. I can still hold it though. 10 hours, 12 hours, still holding it. It's the same weight. The weight of the cup hasn't changed. The weight of the contents hasn't changed. Still the same weight, but it's feeling heavier. My shoulder, my bicep might start to ache a little bit. My shoulder might start to get a little achy. I might start to have a little tension through my neck. I might be, rolling my shoulders around my neck, trying to stretch things out, trying to dissipate some of that stress that's mounting and building up. But, I'm okay. If I hold it for 20 hours, if I hold it for a day, after a while, what's going to happen to my arm? It's going to start to cramp. It's going to burn. It's going to ache. It's going to go into spasm. That stress, the longer that I hold on to it, the more damaging it is to my body. I might start to have altered sensation in my hand, maybe tingling or numbness. Maybe my fingers are having poor circulation, cramping a little bit. All I need to do to relieve all of that stress, to restore the circulation in my arm and hand, to get rid of the symptoms, to actually address the problem, is to take and just put that cup down. But you see, that cup of water that I have here, that Yeti cup that I just held in my hand, those are our daily stressors every single day. And we're not willing to acknowledge them, change our life, to adapt better and stronger and put the cup down. We carry them with us like a badge of honor, a courage, a badge of honor that we're just, this is my stuff. I'm going to carry it. I'm not going to let it go. We figure that instead of addressing the problem and just letting go and putting the cup down, we carry it and we treat the symptoms. So look, if I'm getting neck and shoulder and arm pain and tingling and numbness in my hand, can I take a pill that might alleviate some of the symptoms? Yep. Did it fix the problem? Nope. You cannot take a chemical to fix a physical problem. Most of the issues we have with our health are resulting from physical dysfunction in the body, so our body's not adaptable. Put the cup down. Evaluate your life. Look at some of the stressors that are in your life. Change them before it's too late. Not everybody gets a wake-up call with their health. 36% of people who die from a fatal heart attack, that's their first symptom. Now, they may have ignored all the lifestyle things along the way, but do you want to be that person? My best friend in the entire world, just this past month, his younger brother had a stroke. He's younger than me, he's younger than my buddy. Had a stroke. He's relearning how to walk, how to move his body, how to talk. And he may not get full recovery. But that's something that could have been avoided had he taken better care of himself. We may not get the wake-up call. Some people get a wake-up call. They get a second chance to do things over. And some of those people, by gosh, they take advantage of it. But what happens is we get too comfortable at times and think that, hey, I'm not going to be a victim. I'm not going to be a statistic. And we continue living the same life, making the same poor lifestyle choices. We know that they're wrong. We know they're going to catch up to us. But we get comfortable, we get complacent, especially if we're taking a medication to get rid of the symptoms. All the while, that chronic low-grade inflammation is building, it's mounting, and it's leading us towards obesity, diabetes, heart disease, high cholesterol, cancer, a weakened immune response, more susceptible to viruses and bacteria, putting us into the category of comorbidities that are more susceptible, regardless of our age, to COVID-19, coronavirus. Okay. So silent inflammation, we live in an unnaturally stressful world. I talked about that over here. Our modern world is unnaturally stressful today. We're more sedentary than ever. We're consuming more processed food products than we are whole foods today. 50 years ago, 40 years ago, if you went into a grocery store, you maybe had 5,000 to 10,000 products to choose from. You go in stores today, there's 30, 40,000 products that you can choose from. The majority of those products in the center of the store are all processed foods, most of which don't have a lot of great contribution to health. In fact, they make us worse, sicker, unhealthier, and more inflamed because of the things that they put in them to enhance their shelf life. So there's more stability. Why? So there's more product to be available and to sell. It's more profitable. So these chemicals that are in there, they're toxic to our body. And you combine that with less movement, less water, less rest, high stress. It's a bad combination. It leads to more deficiency and toxicity with our movements, our nutrients, our thoughts, contributing more to chronic low-grade inflammation, leading to that 75 to 90% of chronic disease or morbidity, ultimately leading to higher mortality rates. Regardless of the age right now with coronavirus, people who have comorbidities, obesity, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, high cholesterol, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, other health issues, underlying health issues, they're more susceptible to becoming sick regardless of what their age is. Now look, older population above 70 is most susceptible. Younger people, especially our school-age kids, really zero concern as long as they're taking good care of themselves. Get adjusted, eat well, get enough rest, get sunlight, get oxygen, move your body. It's really pretty simple. So what causes silent inflammation? Being overweight or obese. We have 2/3 of our adult population that is overweight or obese today. That's getting worse every single year globally. If you've seen some of our workshops before, you've seen me dive deep into that topic before. That leads to hormonal imbalances in the body because of the foods that we're eating. A lot of the foods that we're eating will contribute to overweight, obesity, leading to hormonal imbalance, and they are pro-inflammatory. It increases inflammation. The more overweight or obese we are, it increases that chronic low-grade inflammation. The longer we stay overweight or obese, guess what happens? The inflammation increases. It leads us down the path towards type 2 diabetes, heart disease, high cholesterol, the big three, and eventually cancer. Chronic disease. Those are the thing that breaks my heart is that those are lifestyle things. Those are things that we can control. We can make a direct impact on. We don't need a magic pill for that. It's all in what we choose and how we eat, how we fuel our body, how we think, how we move, how we care for ourselves. Huge problem. Go back to the grocery store in the center, all those products in the center of the store. We should be perimeter shopping. That's where the irrigation is, where the cooling is, the meat, seafood, vegetables, produce, all that area, perimeter shop. Center of the store are the things that have chemicals and additives in there to increase shelf life. One of those things is a higher level of omega-6 fatty acids. It makes things increase their shelf life, makes things crunchier, more stable, but that has led to an imbalance with our omega-3 fatty acids. So the ideal balance of omega-6 to omega-3 is 1-to-1. Our modern diet, our modern lifestyle has 10-to-1 or 20-to-1 in favor of omega-6. The more omega-6 that we have in our diet, I want you to think of the cells in our body. Nutrients need to pass through and into those cells to get absorbed and utilized to produce energy, ATP in the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, to produce proteins. All kinds of things happen in the cellular level. Nutrients need to be able to pass through that cell wall. When we have an abundance of healthy fats, the omega-3s, that happens nice and smooth and easily. When we have an abundance of omega-6 fatty acids, it almost makes the cell wall brittle. Think of it like a very thin piece of glass, like a light bulb. Things can't pass through them very easily. And so that lack of omega-3 or abundance of omega-6 leads to a major issue with our inflammation in our body, with our heart health, with our cognitive abilities, with our soft tissues, you name it. That all ties back into that, which is why you hear so much about omega-3 intake. Now look, omega-6 fatty acids, they come from grains. Grains most often are inflammatory in our body, especially modern commercialized grains. They're very different than ancient grains. Grain-fed animal protein, okay? For instance, cattle, something we get beef from, their natural diet is grass. They should be free-range, grass-fed. That's their normal ecosystem and normal diet. When they eat a normal diet and they're free-range and grass-fed and grass-finished, they have a really healthy amount of omega-3 fatty acids in them. When we feed them grains to fatten them up, to make them weigh more so that we can sell them for more, it produces a lot of omega-6 fatty acids, throws the ratio of omega-6, omega-3 out of whack. Those meats are also cheaper, they're less expensive. So listen, when you're making choices in the meat section, buy free-range, grass-fed whenever possible. Even if you need to eat smaller amounts and buy less, that's okay. That's not a bad idea. That's a great idea, in fact, because where our portion sizes are way too big and we're eating poor quality foods. So grain-fed animal proteins are not good. That's not their normal diet. Then we have our vegetable oils. Corn oil, cottonseed oil, sunflower, safflower, peanut, soy, and canola. Those are very high in omega-6 fatty acids. I would encourage you to use coconut oil, avocado oil. You can use olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. Okay. Good sources of omega-3 fatty acids, cold water fish, preferably wild, not farm raised. When they're farm raised, they're not getting their natural diet either. Grass-fed meats, game and range-fed eggs. If you know someone who raises cattle in the area, you can buy a whole cow. They can butcher it for you, prepare it for you. You can split it with somebody, store it in a freezer. Grass-fed, grass-finished. Support someone who's local. You can also look at companies like ButcherBox. Grass-fed, grass-finished meats right to your doorstep. You can choose what you want. It gets delivered every month. It's great. Other sources of omega-3 fatty acids. Good, healthy eggs that are not commercially raised, but free-range, fed natural diet. Flax seeds, they can be crushed. Preferably, your body will absorb them better. Mortar and pestle, or you can get flaxseed powder already ground up. Put those in smoothies and shakes. Hemp seeds, walnuts, great sources of omega-3 fatty acids. Fish oil supplements. Listen, I'm going to talk with you about supplements in a minute, so I'll hold that thought for just a moment, but fish oil supplements, really important. Because the ratio inside the omega-3s, there's something that we need to understand. There's two other things in there, EPA and DHA. The ratios of those two things that are within the omega-3s are vitally important. The ratio of the EPA and DHA in fish oil is necessary, and it can't be achieved through any other food or supplement, okay? So fish oil, really important. Coconut and avocado oil, really healthy omega-3 fatty acids. Coconut oil you can use for everything. You can use it from skincare. You can use it for cooking. You can use it for a whole host of different things. Baking, whatever, whole host of things. Coconut oil, great stuff. All right, so what can you do to fix this chronic low-grade inflammation? So the dangerous belief is that drugs work. So most people, their thoughts, I'm inflamed, let me take an anti-inflammatory. Nope, wrong answer. So you may have seen this before, but check this out. I take aspirin for the headache caused by the Zyrtec I take for the hay fever I got from Relenza, for the uneasy stomach from the Ritalin I take for the short attention span, caused by the Scopoderm TS I take for the motion sickness I got from the Lamodal I take for the diarrhea caused by Xenical, for the uncontrolled weight gain from Paxil I take for the anxiety from Zocor, I take for my high cholesterol, because exercise, a good diet, and regular chiropractic care are just too much trouble. I don't have time for those things. Stop the madness, get adjusted, step into the wellness paradigm. Start to eat, move, think in line with your genetic type, in line with your species type. Remember, headaches are not the problem. They are the symptom of the problem. Remember that. You don't get a headache because you have an Advil deficiency in your body. Headaches are the symptom. Drugs do not correct the cause of the problem. They mask, no pun intended, the symptoms of the problem. You still have the problem. The problem just gets worse over time until the drugs don't work anymore. And then you take stronger, more dangerous drugs, and then side effects from those drugs that you now have new problems for, which you take new drugs for, which is the picture, the meme that I just read to you. Insanity at its finest. When will it stop? You have to make a decision to make it stop, or you will live on that merry-go-round for the rest of your life, bringing you to an early death. Dangerous belief also is that nothing can be done, especially if it's natural. Well, it can't be done naturally. It has to be done through chemistry. BS. So what can you do to fix it? Number one, first and foremost, get a good chiropractor, maintain regular chiropractic care for the rest of your life. It's a necessity for you to function at your best. It's not a luxury. Reduce and eliminate fast carbs, white carbs, breads, grains, cereals, and sugars. Those carbs lead to something called grain brain, fogginess. It messes with your cognitive abilities. You eliminate those 7 to 10 days. I'm telling you, do it for 7 to 10 days as a challenge. You will think clearer. You will feel better. You'll have less inflammation. Your body will feel like it's got a little extra pep in its step. Reduce the omega-6 vegetable oil intake that I listed before. Add into your diet routine grass-fed, free-range meats, wild fish, wild game, free-range eggs, farm-fresh eggs. When you look at a farm-fresh egg that's free-range, that's been fed in natural habitat, the yolk of those eggs are so delicious looking. They're bright orange instead of like a faded yellow that you get with commercial eggs. Anyway, increase the colorful fruits and vegetables on your plate. You want to eat the rainbow. Eat as many different colors every single day as you can. There's polyphenols in there, which are antioxidants, which are anti-inflammatories for the body. Eat a variety of fruits and vegetables every day. Okay. Supplementation. This is the big one here, because here's the thing. All right, let's get big again here, because this is an important, this is a come to Jesus moment right here. Now, here's the thing. We live in a society today that tells us outside in, I want to take a pill. So a lot of times people ask me, hey doc, what can I do about X, Y, and Z problem? And I tell them, yeah. Well, but what can I do? Yeah, all right. And I tell them, no, doc, what can I do? What are they asking me really is what they can take. Like there's some magic. So what most people do is they move from taking a medication to solve the problem to a magic supplement to solve the problem. It doesn't work that way, people. It's not how our body works. Nutraceuticals are not much different than pharmaceuticals. Your body requires whole food. Well, I read the study the other day that says XYZ herb found in the rainforest last week is the key to longevity and good health. BS. See, our body has certain requirements. Let me show you what they are on a daily basis from a wellness perspective. There's only a few things that our body requires. Number one, and yes, we do need to supplement these days because even the soils that our foods are raised in and grown in, they're depleted. They're very different from what they were 20, 40, 50, 75 years ago. It's why, for instance, your lettuce, like your romaine lettuce, looks almost like iceberg lettuce today. Anyhow, from a wellness basis, your body requires a few basic things. A whole food multivitamin. That means, so again, let's pause for a second before I go through the list. Most of what you buy today, you're buying a 2-for-1. It was on sale at the pharmacy. It was on sale at the big box store, whatever they are. And most often you're getting a synthetic vitamin, something made in a laboratory. It's not what our body wants. Our body wants to rebuild new cells and tissues from whole foods. So if I say vitamin C, the first thing that pops in your head should be an orange. If it's not, I'm concerned about you, but it should be an orange. So let's say we take the orange, we peel it. In one hand, I have the peel. In the other hand, I have the orange. I take the orange, I throw it away, I just have the peel. When you look at your supplements and you see ascorbic acid as vitamin C on the label, it's the peel. You take that, and now your body innately starts to say, hey, where's the rest of the orange? It starts to scavenge all the other cells and tissues looking for the enzymes, the cofactors, all the other stuff that goes along with that ascorbic acid to complete that vitamin C. Over time, synthetic vitamins can lead to a vitamin deficiency of the same vitamin you're taking. So we want to preferably supplement with whole foods, foods that are juiced, dehydrated, put into a tablet, a capsule, or into a smoothie form. Either way, check it out. Multivitamin, whole food multivitamin is what you want. Number one. Number two is a good quality omega-3 supplement. It's like taking a fish and squeezing it into a jar. It shouldn't have a whole bunch of other stuff in it, because then it's something that was formerly known as fish. It's no longer fish. It's no longer fish oil. It's been denatured, which is also a big reason why people get sensitive to that. I can't take fish oil. I can't take omega-3 fish oil because it makes me burp and belch. Well, that's because it's been denatured in some way. The proteins are no longer any good. And guess what? Your body doesn't like it. It's telling you it doesn't like it. Until you get a good quality fish oil, that goes away. Vitamin D3, really important for your immune system. Right now, with all the COVID crap that's going on, vitamin D3, sunshine, right? Vitamin D3, zinc, supplement-wise, really important for your immune response. Okay. A daily probiotic. Probiotics are good guys, good bacteria for the body. They live in our stomach and our digestive system. No, I'm sorry, yogurt is not enough. When you eat yogurt, it doesn't really withstand the harsh acidic environment of the stomach, and it tends to wash out of the body as quickly as it goes in. So you need a good probiotic that's going to sustain itself in that stomach and get into the lower intestines, especially on a daily basis. It's going to help with bowel function. It's going to help your immune response, skin, a whole bunch of different things. But if you've been on any rounds of antibiotics in the past, you should be, boom, hitting that body, loading it up with probiotic and a prebiotic, actually. Some of which you can get from food, but you need a good probiotic on a daily basis for a supplement. Now, shifting more towards the inflammation, glutathione. Glutathione is a master antioxidant. It's a powerful antioxidant for the body. You can get that sometimes in a cream or a capsule, but glutathione should be taken on a regular basis. Really important as an antioxidant. Now, there's a couple other go-tos that I really like for natural anti-inflammatories. One of them is an herb called Boswellia serrata, and then turmeric is another one. Use turmeric when you're cooking, but you should take it as a supplement also to reduce inflammation. Those get absorbed best in the body when taken with a healthy fat. So taken with your omega-3 fish oil, taken with olive oil, whatever. They are fat soluble, so they're going to get absorbed and assimilated into the body. Now, there's different supplements that you can go out and buy. You can buy them separately or buy them together. Either way, whole food supplements are best. Try to stay away from synthetic at all costs. All right. That's the basics of your supplementation routine. If you're doing these things, you're getting adjusted, you're exercising, you're getting enough rest, you're drinking half your body weight in ounces of water every day, you're doing the basics: oxygen, sunlight, rest, water, good fuel for your body, good chiropractic care for a healthy nervous system and a proper stress response, you will have a robust health. You will achieve movement on that illness-wellness continuum Beyond neutral, moving towards optimal health. Optimal health being defined as optimal physical, mental, social, and spiritual well-being, not just the absence of disease and infirmity. We want robust health. We want good quality of life. We want to be actively engaged in life when we're in our 70s and 80s, getting on the floor, playing with our grandchildren. I watched a video the other day, a guy 73 years old, jumping off cliffs into these rivers and lakes with all these young kids. That's where I want to be when I'm that age. That's what I aspire to. The thing is that if I don't take care of myself right now, if I don't teach my kids to do that right now, we'll never get there to enjoy that time together. The choices that we make today are going to determine what things are like down the road. Wherever we sit or stand during this presentation, this moment in time, we are a direct result of the choices, everything that we've chosen to do in our life right up until this point. What we've chosen to do over the past day, week, month, year, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, we are a result of today. We're a result of the experiences that we've had. We are a result of the foods that we've eaten or not eaten, the exercise that we've done or not done, the work that we've done on our health and on our body and our mind and our soul and our spirit and our life. We're a result of today. Fast forward a year, 5 years, 10, 15 years, you're going to be standing or sitting someplace in another spot, and you're going to be a direct result. We are going to be a direct result of the choices we make over that time period. The thing is that there's choices. There's benefits to all the choices that we make. There's consequences. The thing is that based on the choices you choose to make, you get to enjoy the benefits or the consequences, nobody else. So let me get small again here. All right. So for those of you that are serious, try this over the next 7 to 10 days. Commit to this. Healthy inflammation response program. Follow eating guidelines like this. Get rid of the refined carbohydrates, the artificial sweeteners, sugar, chemical additives, processed meats, fried foods, caffeine, soft drinks, alcohol. Focus on whole foods. Good quality cuts of protein, fish, chicken, turkey, steak. Portion sizes, not big pieces, portion sizes, 4 to 6 ounces. An abundance of vegetables, twice as many vegetables as fruits. Lots of water. Okay, drink nutrient-dense shakes. You can do a meal replacement. You could do a green smoothie. You could juice, okay? But follow that simple supplement protocol that I gave you on the previous page. But you do that for 7 to 10 days, you will start to feel so incredibly good, there's really no turning back. But if you're patient and you think about making progress and not being perfect with these choices, remember the mantra is progress, not perfection. If you think about that over time, you're going to get to where you want to be with your health, robust health, optimal health on that wellness continuum, moving beyond neutral towards optimal health, quality of life, vitality, robust health. And it comes down to those 3 things: how you eat, move, and how you think. To dive deeper into each of those topics, we do a series of topics, series here called the Bonfire Health Series. Fuel is all about how we eat, how we fuel our body. It's all on nutrition. Air is how you move, all about exercise and movement. And spark is how we think. All 3 of those workshops, we usually do it once or twice a year, but they're all recorded on our Facebook page. If you want to do a deeper dive on those, go back and watch those, take notes on them. We'll do those again. We just did them recently. We did them for an accountability project that we had going on as well. So check those out. Those are on our Facebook page. If you go to our Facebook page, Chiropractic USA of Buffalo Ridge, Chiropractic USA of Ocala West, Chiropractic USA of Ocala East, follow us on those pages. Like us and follow us. That way you stay up to date with things. Every single month we'll be putting out, or we always do, we put out a new body signals workshop. So stay tuned. We've got one coming for August as well, right on through the rest of the year. Right now we're doing them in this format just to make it easier for people who can't get to the office or to maintain some physical distancing. Normally we have food and drink, but we're doing it this way. So you can have your own food and drink at home. We can have a party. You can be in your living room. I can be here and have great information. Share it with the people that you love and care about. Here's the thing. I don't want you to come away from this time with just a little bit of new information. I want it to be transformational for you. And the only way that happens if you take what you learned, 1, 2, or 3 pearls from tonight, and you implement it immediately into your life. Because if you don't, and we go back to the thinking that maybe our problem will just go away. Maybe the symptom will go away. And if the symptom goes away, I'm fine. It's a very dangerous belief. And it's what gets us into deeper problems with our health. So I want to invite you, as if you're a patient of mine already, I want you to invite you to have your family checked. If you're new to our practices and you're watching this, I want to invite you to have your spine checked. Now, when you come in as a patient in our office, we go through a very detailed discovery day with you. We do a very detailed history and interview to find out and put together the story of you and your health, what your goals are, your immediate goals, short-term and long-term health goals. We do a very detailed exam. We look at your posture. We do a digital analysis of your posture. From front and side, we do measurements, and we measure them down the road again. We do a very detailed hands-on exam. We do what's called a surface EMG to measure muscle function in and around that spine, as well as digital ranges of motion to see how well or poorly your body's moving. And we do a series of x-rays so we can see what things look like on the inside. We put all of that information together to build that story of you, and we sit down with you and we go over those findings on the following visit. When we sit down and go over those findings, the recommendations you get from our doctors are always based on 2 things: what your goals are and what our findings are from the exam. So on that second visit you come into the office, we're going over the problems and how that's affected your life, what your goals are, immediate, short-term, and long-term, a plan to achieve those goals, and then we cover the cost, the finances of things. That first day, the discovery process and the report of findings, that's about a $500 to $600 value. Our regular fee for that, we charge $114. If by the end of this week, today's Wednesday, the 22nd, tomorrow's the 23rd, Friday's the 24th, if you call our offices by the end of the day on Thursday, Friday morning, you can have that same examination that I just outlined for you for $67. If you choose not to do it by then, or you choose not to share it with anybody by then, you're always welcome in our office. It would just be at the regular fee. But our job, our mission in this community is to get to as many people as possible to help them live a better, healthier quality of life through the gift of chiropractic. We're fully committed to doing that in all of our locations. So listen, I want to thank you very much for joining me tonight. I hope you learned something new. I hope that information is transformational, not just informational. And I'm going to open this up here and see, as we wind down, see if there's any questions that anybody has. And then we will wrap things up. So give me just a second here. All right, here we are. So let me first start with our Zoom participants. Any questions that we have here, if you do, you can raise your hand. You can hit the chat button. You can hit Q&A. And I'm going to also switch over to our Facebook page for a second and just take a quick glance there and see if there's any questions there. Switch over to our Facebook page for a second and just take a quick glance. All right. All right, Miss Susan, nice to see you, hear you, wave to you. All right, what about hereditary, specifically high cholesterol? All right, this is great. I just talked with someone this afternoon about this. One of the things we have to understand first and foremost with high cholesterol or with anything that's genetic, number one, our genetics, our genes are only 28% of our overall health picture. So the things that we do on a day-to-day basis, right? This is a field called epigenetics. Epi on top of genetics. Our lifestyle environment, our choices will determine which genes get turned on and which genes get turned off over our lifetime. Just because you have high cholesterol doesn't necessarily mean that's going to make you a high risk for heart disease. Now, I'm not a fan of statins. There's a whole host of side effects to those, even on a mild minimal dose. So you do, yes, have to be aware. You have to be conscious. You have to be taking into consideration what your family history is, but it's not the end all be all. We have populations of people around the world who have very high cholesterol, but have little to no heart disease or death from that. So there's a couple things for you to check out. There's one book called The Cholesterol Con. I would recommend checking that one out, starting with that first. But I'm not saying to neglect the hereditary or the genetic factor, but I tend to put more basis on the epigenetics, the things that we're doing. Our stress levels are going to directly trigger what our cholesterol levels are like. Our lifestyle, our diet, how we're exercising, and looking at all the other risk factors that go along with that. There's other tests that you can do as well. Checking in with blood pressure. You can check the function of the vascular system as well. You can do a test called, it's a CRP test for a very specific response to heart disease or concerns with that. But again, that's my opinion. That's my take on it. I'm not a big fan of being on a medication for cholesterol when you can do things dietarily to address it the best that you can. So I don't know if I answered that completely for you, but that's what I have. All right. Any other questions for me regarding chronic low-grade inflammation, anything that we talked about tonight? Again, looking at Zoom, and I'm going to just jump over to our Facebook page for a second. See if I have questions over there. All right. Well, it looks like we don't have any further questions there. Good. Well, any other questions before we wrap up? Well, listen, I appreciate you all being on with me tonight. Hope you have a great rest of your night. I will look forward to seeing you all hopefully tomorrow for adjustments. If not, I will see you upon my return from vacation. I will be out of the office next week. So listen, love and appreciate you. Please share this information with people. It's a recording. You can go back to it, take notes on it if you want. And join us next month. We'll be putting out information later this week on what's coming up next month for you for our Body Signals workshop. All right, Dr. Gary, over and out. Peace and have a great night.